It's Ash from Super Videos back for another video for The Last of Us universe. We have some pretty awesome and exciting Sony and HBO news for The Last of Us. Now there are not only one or two, but like 5 different announcements that were made during a panel for Sony, I think. And as part of these announcements, we got a pretty awesome first look at the HBO series adaptation of The Last of Us. We have our first official look at Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey as Joel and Ellie, and even a big and interesting tease at what clickers look like in the TV universe, which is pretty awesome. We also have some pretty interesting casting news for The Last of Us. We have 2 new casting that have been announced. Now, I don't necessarily think these are casting for season 1. I think these are probably castings for season 2, because the other announcement is that they have officially wrapped for season 1. They have completed filming. They'll be officially done tomorrow, but I don't think that they're gonna have too much more filming to do. I think it's just gonna be the finishing touches and things like that. Nothing major is gonna be filmed in one day. But the 2 cast members that are gonna be added on for most likely season 2 are none other than Ashley Johnson and Troy Baker, who of course voiced and of course were the performers for Joel and Ellie in the video game. So that is extremely interesting. I have some relevant information that I can share with you guys when it comes to that. But aside from that, there's also been some pretty interesting and cool updates when it comes to the video game. They are actually doing a remake of The Last of Us Part 1 on PS5. This will be like the 3rd remake they did, because they did Part 1, obviously. They did the remastered, which is the version I played on PS4. And then obviously now they're doing the remake on PS5. They also released the trailer for it. If you're interested, definitely go check it out. We're not necessarily going to look into that in this video. The other announcement was that they're going to do the biggest online experience for a video game, and it's going to be in the universe of The Last of Us, which is pretty interesting. They've released a picture which we're going to take a look at as well. So stay tuned. We'll be right back to break it all down. Alright, as always, before we jump into this, smash that like button, subscribe to join our community, and press the bell to be notified when I upload on the channel. With that said, let's just dive right into it. So first, we have this freaking awesome first look image of Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey as Joel and Ellie in the TV adaptation of The Last of Us on HBO. This got me super excited. I mean, this looks like a scene straight from the video game, like a promotional picture from the video game, but it's not. It's the live TV adaptation. Definitely awesome. Now, obviously in the background, we do see the blurry image of a clicker, which is definitely super cool and awesome. Obviously, we don't see the details, but this just gives me a lot of hope, as blurry as it is, because it looks like it's straight from the video game. I'm sure they're most likely gonna add some super interesting and awesome effects, like visual effects in post-production, to make it look even cooler. But this looks freaking awesome regardless. Now, if you've been following the channel, you know that I've been covering a lot of the behind the scenes for The Last of Us, mainly because I live in the city where they're filming for The Last of Us, which is in Calgary, Canada. So I've been able to visit set a few times in the past myself and capture some pretty awesome pictures and footage. All of those are on the channel if you're interested. But I have never been able to capture anything when it comes to clickers or runners or bloaters or anything like that. Not just me, but I don't know of any fan who has been successfully able to do it. So this is truly our first official look at what the clickers are gonna look like in the TV adaptation, which is definitely super cool. The other thing I do want to mention is, obviously, like I said, having gone to some of the set locations and seeing what they're doing, I can tell you right away that this is most likely a scene of Joel and Ellie inside a museum. We did see a similar type of story in the video game as well, so it's a direct adaptation of that. But obviously we do see some sort of a glass casing in the middle and some sort of a statue in the background. All of those point towards this being most likely inside of a museum. Now I will put a behind the scene picture of what this museum looks like from the outside. Well, it's not an actual museum. The building they were shooting inside of is actually a clothing store. So it's not an actual museum, but that's what they turned it into. But this is super cool. I mean, words can't describe how awesome this is and how excited it gets me for the show. Now, obviously, even though this is our first official look, it's not really our first official look because HBO did release this picture right away. This was earlier on during filming, and it was an image of Joel and Ellie looking at a plane crash. Now, obviously, we couldn't see Joel and Ellie's face, so because of that, it wasn't truly a very good first look. You know what I mean? So because of that, I consider this our first official look because this one gives us a clear indication what the series is going to look like because it captures the sneaking around layer of the story that was a big part of the story in the game. And also, obviously, it gives us a clear picture of Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey as Joel and Ellie, and also teases at the clickers. So it has everything needed to really tease the show. I mean, this is probably one of the best first look images I have seen of anything, like any promotional for any show or game or anything like that, because it just captures the essence and teases it so well. Next thing we're going to talk about is some very interesting and exciting casting updates. Now, like I said, this is most likely for season 2 instead of season 1 because they have wrapped up filming or they're very close to wrapping up filming for season 1. I doubt that they're going to bring them back for season 1 and only have them shoot for one day. You know what I mean? So because of that, I feel like this is most likely a casting for season 2. Now, the characters they're going to portray have not been announced, but they have been teased as having major roles. So that is definitely interesting. Now, one thing I do want to mention is I was at a con about a month ago and I met Troy Baker, and obviously this was way before the announcement was made, and I think maybe even before he was reached out by the producers and the cast directors for the show. I asked them, can we expect you to cameo in the TV adaptation? And he told me I would love to be a part of it if they ask me and the part is right and I feel like it fits, I'm definitely gonna do it. Now, the biggest part of that is if it fits, and that's definitely my perspective as well. I hope that they don't bring these two in as just fan service and have them have a role that doesn't really mean anything and it's just for us to see them in the TV universe, because there would be no point to that. You know what I mean? And I doubt that the actors themselves would want to be in that position, because that would make it seem like they're just there because the writers and the producers want the video game Joel and Ellie in the TV show. You know what I mean? So I'm definitely on the same page as Troy Baker, who obviously voiced Joel in the video game, when it comes to the fact that these two actors, if they're in the show, need to be there because they fit a character in that story, not because they played Joel and Ellie in the video game. And I have high confidence that that is, in fact, what we're gonna see. There's been some rumors or speculations that Ashley Johnson may actually play the role of Ellie's mom, which would be very, very interesting. There's been a lot of rumors that they're actually going to give us some stories with Ellie's mom, things that we obviously didn't see in the video game. So those two things definitely line up. And as far as fan service goes, I don't think that would be fan service. I think that that would be a pretty cool way to not only bring her in, but also make it fit and make it feel right. And have it in such a way where fans are not like, oh, she's there just because she played Ellie. Instead, for fans to go, this was a really beautiful scene, and the fact that she actually played Ellie in the game makes it even better. You know what I mean? Similar thing with Troy Baker. Now, I'm not saying that he should play like Joel's father or anything like that, because that would be ridiculous. I'm just saying whatever role he gets needs to be something that makes sense, that fits. You know what I mean? But with that said, let's move on to the next thing. Obviously, like I mentioned, they're gonna be doing a remake of The Last of Us Part 1 on PS5, which is definitely interesting. Now, I don't know how fans feel, but for me, I don't know if there's anything to gain from playing the same game again on a different console. But that might be because I'm not a gamer. You know what I mean? But the story is obviously not going to change. It's just going to be the graphics that are going to be different. It's going to be maybe the environment and the atmosphere as far as maybe the sound and, you know, the graphics again and all of that. But obviously the story itself is not going to change. They might add in a few scenes here and there, but it's not going to impact the story. It's not going to significantly change the direction of the story or anything like that. You know what I mean? If anything, if they wanted to do something like that, makes perfect sense to just do that in the TV adaptation on HBO and not really do a remake of the game just to add those elements in. You know what I mean? And the last piece of information is obviously that Sony and Naughty Dog are going to be giving us the biggest online experience for video games, which is definitely exciting and awesome. I mean, I'm not a gamer, but this just sounds interesting. Like, what could they possibly do to achieve that? I don't know. We're gonna have to wait and find out. But the stakes are high. I mean, if you're gonna market it like that, you better have the fucking bomb. You know what I mean? But this is the picture of the announcement for that. Looks pretty awesome. I mean, it definitely captures the atmosphere and the environment of that universe. We do see what I think are maybe clickers and runners on the ground. We see the actual players. One has a cocktail Molotov, the other has a sniper rifle. We even see the bridge. This might be the same yellow bridge that we saw in the game. I think that was part 2 if I'm not mistaken. But that was in Seattle, if I got that right. But this just looks cool. We don't really know too much. This doesn't really give us any idea. It's just a pretty standard picture of a game to promote a game, so we can't really say much about it. But I'm definitely interested to know your thoughts and opinions, what you think we're gonna see, and what you think they might be doing to give us that biggest experience that they're talking about. But with that said, that's pretty much it. This video was longer than I wanted it to be, but there was tons to talk about, so it is what it is. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, smash that like button, subscribe to join our community, and press the bell to be notified when I upload on the channel. That's it for this video. See you next time for another super video.